So personally, I'm Brighton born and bred. I love the benefits of watching and listening to the sea. So I had to really think about it myself. How could I best come to understand this? My name's Roisin. Ordinarily, I'm the University of Brighton's Police Liaison Officer, but I now am a Children and Young Persons Advisor to Sussex Police's response to coronavirus.
Wow, that's amazing. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
How have the police been enforcing the lockdown rules when it comes to young people? And do you think young people have been following it? Is that what you're seeing generally? Or do you just deal with the kids that aren't following the rules?
Yeah, so up and down the country, police are using the same model. We engage, we explain, we encourage, and then very rarely we enforce the rules. So that, in plain English, that means we're doing what we've always done, really, which is talking to people. So out in public, we engage by having a conversation. We explain why the rules of lockdown exist, and we encourage people to go home. And the vast majority of people do just that, and that includes people of all ages, young and old. I am being told of some young people who feel like it's okay for them to meet up with friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, because they don't feel like they're at risk. And actually, that's one of the things that's really worrying to us. And the thing that brought it home to me, because I'm not a scientist or a medical professional either, but the thing that brought it home to me was a video with Professor Hugh Montgomery. I think he's from University College London. And he explained that if you have the flu, that you pass it on to one person ordinarily. And after 10 cases of it being passed on, you're responsible for giving 15 people the flu. But because coronavirus is so much more contagious than that, so if I have it, I'll infect 3 people, and I might not even know I have it. I might not even have any symptoms, but I'll infect 3 people. They'll infect 3 people. And then after 10 layers of this, instead of being responsible for 15 people, I'm now responsible for infecting 59,000 people with coronavirus. I imagine I would have that 59,000 on my shoulders. So even if I'm at home, I don't feel like there's anyone in my household that I need to be worried about. Actually, 59,000 goes way beyond my household.
Yeah.
And now I'm probably responsible for people dying. And so that was the message that really hit me as to why this taking away of our liberty and our freedom is actually really, really important measure.
Brilliant. And what is the issue that young people are facing at the moment? What are you coming across?
So one is there are children who might not necessarily be safe at home. And now they're suddenly spending an awful lot more time at home. So that's kind of in the public protection sphere, as we call it. And we've got colleagues working really hard on that. And then the other is that lockdown is basically taking away everyone's liberty. You know, we live in a country where ordinarily we have the freedom to roam as we please. And now suddenly that's been taken away. And what we don't want is we don't want young people to end up with criminal records as a result of breaking those rules. We want to engage with young people, explaining why the rules are in place and then encouraging them to follow the rules. And then, you know, when young people do that, as a result of that process, there is no comeback to them. And so what we'd like to avoid is the bit where young people end up criminalised for avoiding the rules. And then suddenly that's a black mark against them for a long time. Yeah. And that's a big implication of something which is a global problem. You know, it's not a problem that teenagers have created or have asked for, but it just makes life really challenging compared to normal.
This question has come from people who live in Brighton, young people, and so someone got asked to move when they were sitting alone on the beach, and we wanted to ask why, if one person is sitting alone on the beach, why is that a problem?
Yeah, I honestly think this is one of the hardest things for people to get their heads around, and possibly especially young people. The most obvious question being, well, if I'm 2 meters away from anybody else, what's the harm in it? COVID-19 is highly contagious, and as a nation, we're being collectively told to stay at home because we've got no idea whether we're one of the spreaders or not. And it will only work if we work together as a collective. There is a however, the government recognises that outdoor exercise is really, really important for our physical and mental health. So they said, yes, you can leave your house once a day to go for a walk, a run or a cycle. But as soon as one person is seen to get away with it by bending the rules, sitting on the beach instead, others are going to want to do the same. And then that really quickly undermines that collective effort. And so then the virus is able to spread again. So it's about all of us making those really difficult sacrifices. And that is a really difficult sacrifice. I think that sense of freedom you get from being ordinarily in our society and culture allowed out of your house and to be where you want is really difficult, but it's actually crucially important. I think as a collective, we also have to refrain from judgment. I mean,
Yeah.
so I had a little privilege check myself the other day. So it was my days off. We do live near the beach, so that when we go for a daily walk, it means that I do get to walk past the sea on my way around and back home again. Then when I get home, my kids can be outside all day long because we've got a garden. But one of my boys wanted to speak to one of their friends, and his friend lives in a flat with 3 siblings and a parent. They have no access to outdoor space. So that one exercise of the day is really, really important to them. And actually, there's been threats of the lockdown getting worse. So I really hope it doesn't get worse for the sake of people like that who absolutely don't have the privilege of being able to be outdoors any more than a once-a-day walk.
Brilliant. And then the last question is, what positive things have you experienced since the lockdown?
So personally, I've got to know my elderly neighbours who I ordinarily only talk to in passing,
Yeah.
but now actually we speak really regularly. And they popped a little even though we've been speaking, they popped a little handwritten note through the other day to thank us and to give us a gift for the children by way of a thank you, which is, it's just really nice, isn't it, to be more personable with people. And then on a professional level, I'm actually really proud to be associated with both the University of Brighton and Sussex Police. My colleagues on the front line are showing such amazing patience and fortitude with the way they've adapted. We've never had laws before on restriction of liberty, so it's had to be, a real off-the-cuff adaptation to how you police like that when we've never policed like that before. And then unfortunately there are a really small number of people who are choosing to assault them in the most disgusting ways, and yet they brush themselves down, head back out the door, and then speak to ordinary everyday members of the public with grace and politeness. And I think that's incredible, really, and they deserve a massive pat on the back when this is all finished.
Oh, well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's actually really nice to talk to you because it's quite insightful about what the police are doing at the moment, and like what really needs to happen. But yeah, thank you so much for talking to me. Really enjoyed that.